On to my next project, 8mm and Super 8 digitization. Now that I've finished most of my Betamax and VHS conversions, I thought I should get a little bit of a start on the older media. So 8mm and Super 8 media specifically. I've got a bunch of it that I need to go through. Some of it in pretty cool little binders. I don't know, I think I have probably about more than 50, probably closer to 75 of these to go through, which is fun. I love this type of project. And I have some of the bigger 5-inch reels as well. So, they sell a variety of these type of machines. This one came for sale for $300 Canadian on Labor Day. So I thought I'd give it a try, and at the very least, if it didn't do a great job, I could identify the films that are worthy of spending more money or effort to convert in a better format. But so far I've been pretty impressed with the quality of this thing. It's one of those Wolverine knockoffs, or it's a generic version of the Wolverine / Kodak machines. Very simple to use as long as you follow the instructions. It's fairly clearly laid out. It's a little finicky if you have big hands to feed the tiny film to thread it through the loops and whatnot, but if you take your time, it's easily doable. I've encountered a lot of very old elastic bands that have wrapped the 8mm film reels. So here's one right here that I haven't touched yet. So this hasn't been probably messed with in over 40 years, I would say. And it looks like they had some sort of specialized rubber band that had a little tag on it that you could use to grab it. You would just grab that tag right there and pull, and you can get the elastic band off. But after sitting in storage for 40 years, these elastic bands have kind of glued themselves to the outer film, the leader on the film. Luckily enough, it's been fairly easy to get off, depending on the elastic band, but not all of them are the same, and some of them are very brittle, some of them are very sticky, but hasn't caused me much of an issue. I guess I could always just cut off the leader if I absolutely had to, but I've been able to get it off without too much effort. So the process I've been using is load the film into the movie digitizer, let it do its thing. This thing saves the clips as MP4 files in 30 frames a second though, which is weird because 8mm and Super 8 were 16 frames a second for 8mm and 18 frames a second for Super 8. So why it creates a 30 frame a second clip, I'm not really sure. When you watch it back, it plays too quickly. So what I've been doing is after that movie digitizer creates the file, I bring it into my video editing software. I just use Vegas, and I reduce the playback rate in Vegas by 60%. I reduce it by 40%. I take 60% of the rate, which turns a 30 frame per second clip into 18 frames per second. And then I render it out. So it's one extra step I wish I didn't have to take, but it works fine. So there you have it. I'll give you a demonstration of digitizing one of these 8mm. Actually, these are Super 8 film reels. It's got a bit of a bigger socket or sprocket, whatever you want to call it. But the digitizer comes with these little adapter clips that you can slide into place for that type of reel. So here we go. Let's do one as an example. Oh, this one's actually coming off not too bad at all. It's surprising. These have been stored in a variety of locations, one of which was in an attic for over 20 years, where temperatures probably got up to 130, 140, I would bet sometimes. Oh, look at that. So that came off pretty well. So here's the little specialized elastic band they had for 8mm and Super 8 film reels to keep them. Yeah, look at this. It actually still works. The elastic band still has give to it. All right. Next step is to load it into the unit. First step will be installing the little adapter. Make sure that, actually on this side it doesn't matter, but on this side there's a little tab, and that tab slides into this notch when you put it on. But on this side doesn't matter. Okay, and then you put your film in. You want to make sure that the holes are at the side closest to the unit. You also want to make sure that you're in the right section for either 8mm or Super 8. And there is a way to tell based on where the holes are in relation to the frame. Here's what a regular 8 film looks like, 8mm. And then here's what a Super 8 film looks like. See how the holes are more centered on the frame for Super 8, whereas 8mm regular, the holes are kind of at the beginning of each frame. So this just sets in here. And then you follow the little instructions. So you slide the tab to the left and then it'll open up the tray. And there's 3 tabs that you need to feed the film through. And it shows it on the unit here. There's one there, one just past the light, or the lens. Scanning bed, I guess, is what it technically is. I'm gonna just try to clean this out a bit because I see some hairs and some specks in there. I don't want that contaminating my project. This comes with a cleaning cloth and a little duster like I was just showing you. Let's see if I can get that little speck out of there. The problem working with old film is they come apart, have dirt on them. Well, that's a stubborn little piece there, actually. There we go, I got it. Looks much better. Okay, so first thing, I like to get it into the middle tab first. You know, whatever works best for you, but I've got such big fingers and I find it very fiddly, but if I get the first tab in and then go back to, or sorry, the middle tab and then go back to the first tab, so there you go, it's between two tabs now. So then I just go to the very final one, put like a little bend in the film, and voila, it's got it threaded through. And then you just continue on following the little handy drawing it shows you. And just pay attention, make sure it's still between those three tabs. One tab there, one tab just past the scan bed, and then one tab on the very end. So now it's a matter of feeding the film into your take-up reel. There's a little message on this reel right here. It says insert film here. So that's where your film goes into. Such a finicky job. But this is the hardest part. Once you're done this, it's off to the races. Okay, so I've almost got it good to go here. I just want to make sure that this notch is at the top so that I know where to line it up with when I go to set this on. There we go. Okay, and then I just spin it a few times, and again, just paying close attention to make sure those tabs are still holding the film well. And I spin it until it gets close to where the film starts, so right about there. Now, instead of just snapping that lid down, pressing hard until it snaps, it feels kind of, I don't know, it feels like you have to press harder than what you should. So I like to actually slide the bar, then press down, then let go of the slider, just to make it kind of a little less clunky, and I don't want it to break over time. So now that it's loaded up, all you do is you click the button to go. This is just to set a timer on the screen so you know approximately how long it will take to finish the clip. Not even sure if you can read that, but it's asking for the reel size. So I'm just saying 3 inch, 3 minutes. I click OK and hope that it's going to, if the frame's going to be centered enough. If it isn't, there's an option I can use in here to pause, to stop it, adjust the frame position, and then continue. But let's see what it looks like. So that actually looks pretty good. The frame is centered. I'm not going to have to adjust it. So it's estimating 34 minutes and 41 seconds to complete this digitization. It's going frame by frame, about 2 frames a second. And now you just wait for it to complete. It has stopped on me before. There's been times I've got to a film that's been spliced, and when the spliced section comes into the feeder tray here, it stopped. So it detected that. It stopped automatically. I didn't have to do anything. But if you do need to stop it for whatever reason in the middle of the recording, you just hit this OK button, which is also the start stop. And then you can fix whatever it is you need to do and resume your digitizing. So I'm going to wait for this to finish, and then I'll show you how to rewind your film when you're done. Here we are at the end of this film. Sometimes it keeps going, sometimes it just stops like it is right now. It's kind of quit moving. Oh, there we go. Just as I was about to stop it manually, it finished completely. Alright, so to rewind, first take off your film and take off your original reel and the adapter. just pulls off. And like I said earlier, make sure that when you put the adapter on this side, if you have to line up the slot with a little notch. And then put your take-up reel on backwards, or at least if this is the front of it, I flip it around like that. And again, pay attention to that notch on top, line it up with the notch in your reel. But actually I'll feed it on first. So here's our film. For rewinding, you put the holes towards you. So the hole should be closest to you. And for rewind, as it says on the unit, you follow the dotted line as opposed to the solid line for where the film goes. So the film just goes around the first post, and around this post, and that's it. Put it on the take-up reel. Okay, so now it's ready to be set into rewind mode. It's called fast forward for some reason, but it's rewind. And there you have it. Once it's done rewinding, you can turn off the unit, take the SD card out of the back, and you've got your video file. Like I said, I then modify it on my video editing software, but it's not absolutely necessary. You can still watch it as is. So there you have it. I think this little unit is well worth the $300 if you have a lot of media to go through and you want to do it yourself. It's one of the easiest ways to do it, in my opinion. Thanks for watching. And remember, please note, product's spec is subject to improvement. Any changes of product will not make additional specify.